This is ecoTEC's ecoTEC Roundup show from Aotearoa's first and only climate-positive certified renewable electricity provider. We only source from wind, hydro and solar, and we are the leading supplier of electricity to EVs in Aotearoa. Search today at ecotecity.co.nz. Welcome back to another roundup of news from the world of clean cars and green energy. Thanks for joining me. We start today's show with some news that came completely out of left field, but which could have massive implications for the EV industry. Volkswagen's investment in Rivian. Announced on Tuesday, the two companies will work together to establish a joint venture for software-defined vehicle platforms, with the end goal of using that new software-defined vehicle platform on future EVs from both brands. In exchange for benefiting from Rivian's software smarts, Volkswagen has made an initial $1 billion investment in Rivian in the form of an unsecured convertible note, with plans to expand that to a total of $5 billion in the future. Although it's early days, if the joint venture goes ahead, it could mean good things for both companies. In the last few weeks, we've been hearing a drip feed of rumours about the Volvo EX30, specifically Volvo's planned production shifts to avoid hefty Chinese import tariffs in the US and European markets. In recent episodes, we'd reported that Volvo was looking to shift EX30 production to Ghent, Belgium for models destined for the US and Europe. But this week, Volvo announced it's decided to delay launching the EX30 in North America until next year. This ensures that it doesn't have to continue shipping EX30s to Europe from China and will be able to ramp up its Ghent production for Europe and get it up to speed before planning a North American launch. But rather than leave customers without a car to drive, Volvo says it plans on offering EX30 reservation holders alternative models to drive until the car arrives. As we detailed in last week's show, Fisker is now officially under bankruptcy protection in the US, and while it has said it plans to keep supporting owners, the reality on the ground is quite different. We've already heard from Fisker Ocean owners who have struggled to get after-sales service with their vehicles, and there has been at least one case of someone whose Fisker Ocean was written off due to a lack of replacement parts for what was a very minor piece of damage. But now Fisker owners are taking things into their own hands, joining forces to form the Fisker Owners Association, a group that aims to provide owners around the world with community advocacy and support. It's an official non-profit organisation that welcomes anyone with a Fisker, and it wants to leverage open source principles to keep these cars alive. I'm sure many of you are familiar with the name Mate Rimac, the Croatian EV whiz turned CEO of Rimac Automobili, and by association I'm sure you know of the car he and his team brought to market, the oh-so-expensive Rimac Nevera hypercar. In the last few months, we've heard some interesting snippets from Mate and the firm, including the hint that the company might end up making internal combustion engine vehicles to keep its hyper-exclusive, ultra-rich clientele happy. But this week, Mate Rimac surprised us all by announcing a brand new company, Verne. Named after author Jules Verne, it plans on bringing a Level 4 fully autonomous electric Robotaxi to the streets of Zagreb, Croatia in 2026, followed by launches in the UK, Germany and the Middle East. Whatever you think of Consumer Reports, and I know many of you have a lot of strong opinions on the subject, its lists on automotive reliability can be very useful when making a purchase decision. This week, it published its latest report detailing the used cars you should avoid buying based on poor reliability reports from readers in its annual reliability survey. While it covered both internal combustion and electric models, it suggests that the used EVs you should avoid buying the most include the 2019 Audi e-tron, the 2019 through 2022 Chevrolet Bolt EV, the 2022 Hyundai Ioniq 5, and 2019 Hyundai Kona Electric. Also on the list is the 2022 Rivian R1T. In the past few months, we've seen a distinct change in the EV marketplace as Tesla's vehicle sales have fallen while sales of EVs from other brands have grown. to be clear, Tesla still accounts for the lion's share of the EVs sold around the world and dominates the marketplace, and its drop in sales, while worrying for shareholders, still place it far ahead of its nearest competitor. But while other brands have their hearts set on catching Tesla, a new analysis from Bank of America this week shows that Tesla has one major advantage over the competition: how much it spends on building each and every vehicle. According to the report, on average, Tesla spends $10,000 less on components on every car when compared to EVs made by other brands, thanks to economies of scale and streamlined design. That difference dramatically improves the company's profitability. It's official. Ford has chosen Long Beach, California as its new home for its brand new Advanced Electric Vehicle Development Center, otherwise known as its EV skunkworks. The company, which put its EV subsidiary Ford Model E through some major restructuring in recent weeks, announced on Wednesday that the skunkworks team will be focusing on developing new next-generation EVs that will focus on affordability. According to Ford CEO Jim Farley, the engineering team at the skunkworks will include former Apple, Rivian, Lucid, Tesla, Hyundai, Archer Aviation, and Joby employees. Ford says the new platform will eventually underpin a range of different vehicles aimed at different market segments, but it will focus on using a smaller battery pack and new battery chemistry. After several months of teasing, Hyundai unveiled its new INSTER EV midweek, a vehicle that it hopes will allow it to compete in the affordable EV segment in non-North American markets. Based on the internal combustion engined Casper that's been on sale in Korea for the last few years, the INSTER EV is a subcompact hatchback with a choice of 42 kWh or 49 kWh battery pack, 21.2 or 84.5 kilowatt motor, and a range of up to 355 kilometres, which is 220 miles, on the WLTP test cycle. Despite its battery pack size, the INSTER will be capable of 120 kilowatt DC fast charging and will come with bidirectional charging as standard. We have yet to see pricing, but when we know it, we'll share. Thanks to generous EV incentives, Norway has long been the world leader in EV adoption, and other countries have used Norway as an example of how to transition their fleet to electric. But we're now starting to see what happens when countries remove incentives and roll back policies, and there's no better example right now than Aotearoa, New Zealand, where the current Conservative government has been working hard to gut the progressive policies of the previous administration. First, it ended all EV incentives at the start of the year. Then it introduced road usage charges for all EVs. Now the Ministry of Transport is trying to gut the clean car standard to remove penalties for importers who bring gas guzzlers to the nation. That's in stark contrast to December, where more than one half of all new cars were electric. We're now seeing the average fuel economy of new cars drop like a stone while tailpipe emissions rise. It is so frustrating to see all the harm being done in Aotearoa by the current political parties. But hey, it's not all bad news. Despite the government pushing back years of progress, a new survey published this week by the University of Auckland shows that Kiwis are excited about switching to EVs that wirelessly charge. According to a new survey led by research teams at the university, out of 1,150 existing and potential EV owners surveyed, 93% said they were excited and optimistic about the application of dynamic wireless charging. Unlike current wireless charging solutions for EVs, which require you to park over a dedicated charging pad, dynamic wireless charging involves embedding a series of wireless charging pads into a road that you then drive over, allowing you to either drive without using power from your car's battery pack or actually charge up your car's battery pack briefly without needing to stop. It could make long-distance trips easier, as you wouldn't need to stop, but it would need a lot of government buy-in to be practical. And right now I don't see that happening. Do you? Before we get to the last two stories, I have a quick question. Are you in the market for a new EV? Because if you are and you live in Aotearoa, you should very much check out our own buyer's guide at ecoTEC.co.nz. It is packed with all the information you need to pick a car that's right for you and includes plenty of details about available vehicles, daily life with an EV, and so much more. So follow the link below and start that journey today. As I noted on last week's show, it was the Pikes Peak International Hill Climb last weekend in the US, and I wasn't disappointed in my hope for Rivian's all-new quad-motor R1T. Driven by Gardner Nichols, it set a new production truck record on the mountain with a time of 10 minutes, 53.883 seconds, and if you sneak a look at the speedometer, it spent most of its time well above highway speeds. Meanwhile, the Ford F-150 Lightning Supertruck, driven by Romain Dumas, earned the title of King of the Mountain, finishing his run in 8 minutes, 55.553 seconds. It wasn't a new overall record for the course, but it was the quickest time for this year. So well done to everyone, but frankly, I still think Hyundai and Rivian deserve the kudos for their closer to production vehicle runs. And finally, from its inception as a military vehicle through to its introduction into the civilian market, the Hummer EV was never really a very efficient vehicle. Even following its rebirth as an EV nameplate, the Hummer brand isn't exactly known for its efficiency, with the Hummer EV pickup and Hummer EV SUV among the least efficient and the most heavy electric vehicles you can buy today. But if you lust for the design aesthetic of an original Hummer, but want a more efficient ride, may I introduce you to the Cyber Hummer from Canadian company North American EV. It is equally obscene in its specs, with 2.5 second sprint time and 735 kilowatts at the wheels, but as a ground-up restomod of a US Army Humvee, it's also half the weight of the GMC Hummer EV. It also manages 300 miles, 482 kilometers range, from a 75 kilowatt-hour Tesla-derived battery pack and drivetrain, making it far more efficient. The price? Well, surprisingly enough, about the same as the official Hummer EV from GMC. And on that note, we are done for the day. Before I go though, do make sure you've hit the notification bell so you don't miss out in the latest in EV news from this channel. And of course, if you haven't switched yet, it's high time to switch to Aotearoa's first and only climate positive certified renewable electricity provider. It is super easy to make the switch, and in doing so, you'll help the nation wean itself off dirty energy and onto clean green power that will keep the land beautiful. Because it's July 4th in the US next week, where I happen to be based, I'm going to be taking a week off from our news roundup show, but I will be back in 2 weeks' time. And in the meantime, do check out other videos on this channel, including those from the lovely Gavin Kiwi EV Shoebridge. So until next time, I'm Nikki Gordon Bloomfield. Have an amazing rest of your week. Ka kite!